Imagine this one. Sunny morning in June 1914. An open-top car rolls through the crowded streets of Sarajevo. Inside sits Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, smiling and waving. The crowd cheers. And then, in a split second, 2 gunshots echo through the air. Those bullets didn't just kill a man, they set the world on fire. What began as a local act of rebellion would explode into a war so vast, so devastating, it would change history forever. This is the story of the assassination that started World War I, a tale of empires, conspiracies, and one moment that turned the 20th century upside down. To understand how one assassination triggered global chaos, we need to step back. The early 1900s was a time of rising nationalism, political tension, and imperial pride. Europe was divided into 2 powerful alliances, the Triple Entente: Britain, France, and Russia, and the Triple Alliance Germany, Each empire was armed to the teeth, suspicious of the other, and waiting for a spark. In the Balkans, often called the powder keg of Europe, ethnic groups fought for independence from empires that had ruled them for centuries. Among them were Serbian nationalists who dreamed of uniting all Slavic people under one flag. And in the middle of this storm stood the Austro-Hungarian Empire, a patchwork of ethnicities struggling to hold together. When Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the throne, announced a visit to Bosnia, tensions soared. Bosnia had recently been annexed by Austria-Hungary, angering neighboring Serbia, which claimed it as part of its cultural homeland. Franz Ferdinand wasn't your typical royal. He was reform-minded, even sympathetic to the empire's minority groups. But his visit to Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, was seen by Serbian nationalists as a direct insult. The date carried heavy symbolism. It was the anniversary of the Battle of Kosovo, a sacred event in Serbian history. To them, it wasn't just a visit. It was a provocation. Enter the Black Hand, a secret Serbian nationalist organization led by military officers determined to liberate all Slavs from Austrian rule. They hatched a daring plan: assassinate the Archduke during his visit to Sarajevo. The team chosen for the mission were young, idealistic, and radical among them. Gavrilo Princip, a frail 19-year-old with tuberculosis and a burning hatred for imperial rule. It was a warm Sunday morning when Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, arrived in Sarajevo. Their open car drove along the Apel Quay, lined with cheering crowds, and unbeknownst to them, several assassins waiting in ambush. The first attempt came early. Nedeljko Kabrinovec threw a grenade, but it bounced off the car and exploded under the next vehicle. The Archduke escaped unharmed, though several officers were injured. Furious but undeterred, Franz Ferdinand insisted on continuing the day's events. After visiting the wounded in the hospital, he and Sophie decided to return by car, taking a route that, by a cruel twist of fate, wasn't properly communicated to the driver. As the car made a wrong turn onto Franz Joseph Street, it slowed to a stop right in front of a cafe where Gavrilo Princip was standing. Seizing the moment, Princip stepped forward and fired 2 shots. One struck the Archduke in the neck. The other hit Sophie in the abdomen. She whispered, "It's nothing," before collapsing. Within minutes, both were dead. The heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne and his beloved wife were gone. News of the assassination spread like wildfire. Across Europe, shock turned into fury. The Austro-Hungarian Empire blamed Serbia and, with Germany's backing, issued an ultimatum filled with demands Serbia could never fully meet. When Serbia's response wasn't enough, Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28. Within days, alliances were activated like falling dominoes. Russia mobilized to protect Serbia. Germany declared war on Russia, then on France. When Germany invaded Belgium, Britain entered the conflict. In less than a week, Europe was at war. What started with a single bullet had ignited a chain reaction of treaties, egos, and power. Plays a global inferno now known as World War I. The First World War was unlike anything humanity had seen. Trench warfare, machine guns, chemical weapons, tanks. It was industrialized slaughter on an unimaginable scale. Over 16 million people died. Empires collapsed. Borders were redrawn. And at the center of it all was that moment in Sarajevo, the assassination that symbolized the death of the old world order. Ironically, Gavrilo Princip didn't live to see the end of the war he helped start. Imprisoned in harsh conditions, he died of tuberculosis in 1918, just months before the armistice. But his act, and the decisions that followed, reshaped the modern world. Looking back, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand was more than a political murder. It was a collision of nationalism, pride, and paranoia. It showed how fragile peace can be when empires play with fire and young men believe violence can forge destiny. One small event can unleash chaos far beyond imagination. History isn't just a story of the past. It's a mirror reflecting who we are today. The world still stands on the edge of similar rivalries and misunderstandings. The question is, have we learned from Sarajevo? If this story fascinated you, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more powerful tales from history that shaped our world. Drop a comment below. Do you think the war would have happened without that assassination? Let's talk about it. Until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and remember, one moment in history can change everything.